Bridgend suicide incidents may have been caused by a bacteria species found in oil fields, fracking sites, and mines. The Bridgend suicide incidents are a set of suicides involving young people in Bridgend County Borough in South Wales. Reports speculated that a suicide cult was to blame. As of December 2008, there have been 24 known deaths in or from Bridgend County since January 2007, though police have found no evidence to link the cases together. Of 25 people who killed themselves between January 2007 and February 2009, all but one died from hanging. The parents of one of the dead accused the media of glamorizing ways of taking one's life to young people. Madeleine Moon, Member of Parliament for Bridgend, said that the media were now part of the problem. The mother of one of the deceased added, "We have lost our son and the media reporting of this has made it more unbearable." Many of the suicide victims were teenagers between the ages of 13 to 17. However, there were ones that were much older. However, the media did not focus on them because it was not as disturbing. In the years between 1996 and 2006, an average of 3 men committed suicide in Bridgend every year. In 2007, the total was believed to be at least 9. On January 12, 2010, it was reported that another 2 people had committed suicide in the town. An article in People magazine reported that by February 2012, 79 people had committed suicide by hanging in the area. Most of the victims are young adults, but the age range is 13 to 41 years of age. In 2010, police asked the media to stop covering the suicides in an attempt to prevent copycats. Bridgend is a former market town of around 39,000 people, however, the suicides stretched over the whole county borough of Bridgend, which has a population of over 100,000. For people who want to know more about Bridgend, there is a 2013 documentary and a 2015 drama film starring Hannah Murray, director Jeopardy, have been made about these incidents, both called Bridgend. Near Bridgend, there is a place called Bridgend Rose. Built to serve Champ Fleury Oil Works, Bridgend consisted of 18 rows of 4 dwellings and 2 rows of 6 dwellings. Some of these appear to be single-room houses. 5 rows of the largest 2 apartment houses remain as Old Hill cottages. This was made for a large oil field. Later the site was mostly demolished in the late 1930s. The site was turned into a park, playground, and community buildings constructed on site of demolished rows. There are 5 reports from a newspaper at the time. Around the summer of 1925 there were 5 suicides by hanging. The ages were unreported. In 1914 the Ludlow Massacre happened. This was an attack by the Colorado National Guard and Colorado Fuel and Iron Company camp guards on a tent colony of 1,200 striking coal miners and their families at Ludlow, Colorado, on April 20, 1914. Some 24 people, including miners' wives and children, were killed. The chief owner of the mine, John D. Rockefeller, Jr., was widely criticized for the incident. The massacre, the culmination of a bloody widespread strike against Colorado coal mines, resulted in the violent deaths of between 19 and 26 people. Reported death tolls vary but include 2 women and 11 children, asphyxiated and burned to death under a single tent. The deaths occurred after a day-long fight between militia and camp guards against striking workers. Ludlow was the deadliest single incident in the Southern Colorado coal strike, which lasted from September 1913 through December 1914. The strike was organized by the United Mine Workers of America. Many thought they were underpaid and worried that something was wrong with the mine. People were falling sick and would end their life in a number of ways. On the morning of April 20, the day after the Orthodox Easter was celebrated in the tent colony, 3 guardsmen appeared at the camp ordering the release of a man they claimed was being held against his will. This request prompted the camp leader, Louis Tikes, to meet with a local militia commander at the train station in Ludlow village, a half-mile, (0.8 kilometers), from the colony. While this meeting was progressing, 2 companies of militia installed a machine gun on a ridge near the camp and took a position along a rail route about half a mile south of Ludlow. Anticipating trouble, Tychus ran back to the camp. The miners set out to flank the militia positions and a gunfight soon broke out. The fighting raged for the entire day. The militia was reinforced by non-uniformed mine guards later in the afternoon. At dusk, a passing freight train stopped on the tracks in front of the guards' machine gun placements, allowing many of the miners and their families to escape to an outcrop of hills to the east called the Black Hills. By 7 p.m., the camp was in flames, and the militia descended on it and began to search and loot the camp. Louis Tychus had remained in the camp the entire day and was still there when the fire started. Tychus and 2 other men were captured by the militia. Tychus and Lieutenant Karl Linderfelt, commander of one of 2 guard companies, had confronted each other several times in the previous months. While 2 militiamen held Tychus, Linderfelt broke a rifle butt over his head. Tychus and the other 2 captured miners were later found shot dead. Tychus had been shot in the back. Their bodies lay along the Colorado and Southern Railway tracks for 3 days in full view of passing trains. The militia officers refused to allow them to be moved until a local of a railway union demanded the bodies be taken away for burial. During the battle, 4 women and 11 children had been hiding in a pit beneath one tent, where they were trapped when the tent above them was set on fire. 2 of the women and all of the children suffocated. These deaths became a rallying cry for the UMWA, who called the incident the Ludlow Massacre. In addition to the fire victims, Louis Tychus and the other men who were shot to death, 3 company guards and 1 militiaman were killed in the day's fighting. On this day there were 23 suicides by hanging. There are a ton more of cases with oil fields and coal mines. All one has to do is Google and dig very deep for the information. Research shows that people who live near hydraulic fracturing, fracking, sites have more severe health problems than those who don't, and wind up in the hospital more often. Researchers from the University of Columbia and the University of Pennsylvania wrote in a study published in PLOS One that those who live close to the natural oil and gas drilling sites are more likely to suffer from heart conditions, neurological illnesses, and cancer. The scientists analyzed 198,000 hospitalizations records over a 4-year period, from 2007 to 2011, in northern Pennsylvania counties, categorized 25 medical scenarios, and then associated each case with its proximity to a fracking area. A larger number of hospitalizations were found in those areas where drilling takes place. According to the researchers, there are 18 zip code areas with a well density higher than 0.79 wells per square kilometer. That means a person who lives in one of those zip codes has a 27% greater risk of suffering from one of the aforementioned conditions. Fracking involves injecting a mixture of water, sand, and various chemicals into shale rock formations to release the oil and gas trapped inside. The practice is controversial because the chemicals can leak into groundwater and release into the atmosphere, polluting both the body and the environment. Hydraulic fracturing has been banned in some states and communities, and other states and locales are trying to prohibit the process in their areas. At this point, we suspect that residents are exposed to many toxicants, noise, and social stressors due to hydraulic fracturing near their homes, and this may add to the increased number of hospitalizations, said Dr. Reynold Panettiere, Jr., Deputy Director of the Center of Excellence in Environmental Toxicology at the University of Pennsylvania, and senior author of the study. Some of the chemicals used in hydraulic fracturing are endocrine-disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, which can interfere with the normal functioning of the endocrine system, potentially causing infertility, cancer, and birth defects in residents who live near drilling sites. How is all of this connected, you ask? A bacteria species that lives in multiple fracking sites and coal mines. Researchers have discovered an unknown species of bacteria living in shale oil and gas wells used for fracking, which they've named Fracobacter. The genomes of species living in 2 separate fracturing wells in Ohio were analyzed, and despite the fact that they are hundreds of kilometers apart, the two bacterial communities were surprisingly similar. A total of 31 different types of bacterial genome were found at the two sites, including Candidatus fraccobacter. We thought we might get some of the same types of bacteria, but the level of similarity was so high it was striking, said one of the researchers, Kelly Wrighton, from Ohio State University. That suggests that whatever's happening in these ecosystems is more influenced by the fracturing than the inherent differences in the shale. Although almost all of the microbes found in the survey had already been discovered elsewhere, and many likely came from the surface ponds, the researchers suggest that Candidatus fraccobacter could be unique to hydraulic fracturing sites, however other reports the same type at mine sites. The controversy stems from the environmental impacts, health risks from the gas, and possible earthquakes. No matter which side of the fracking debate you stand on, the implications for this research are pretty exciting when it comes to our understanding of the conditions required for life. The types of environments that these bacterial colonies thrive in are very inhospitable, with high temperatures, pressure, and salinity. We think that the microbes in each well may form a self-sustaining ecosystem where they provide their own food sources, Wrighton explained. Drilling the well and pumping in fracturing fluid creates the ecosystem, but the microbes adapt to their new environment in a way to sustain the system over long periods. The researchers say that the microbes are protected from the salinity by creating compounds called osmoprotectants to keep them from bursting apart. The bacterial communities also form a type of symbiotic relationship with each other in these unwelcome conditions. When the cells die, their osmoprotectants are eaten by other microbes, such as Fraccobacter, which then produce food for the other bacteria called methanogens. This ultimately produces methane, which is a main component of natural gas. The researchers are looking into how the newfound bacterial colonies could be used to increase the methane output of the fracking sites. Although the amount of methane produced by the bacteria is only a fraction of the methane produced by the fracking itself, the team points out that the coal mine industry already use microbes to their advantage, and the same could be done for fracking. In coal bed systems, they've shown that they can facilitate microbial life and increase methane yields, Wrighton said. As the system shifts over time to being less productive, the contribution of biogenic methane could become significantly higher in shale wells. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's a possibility. The team is now growing the Fraccobacter and other microbes in the lab under similar high-stress conditions to further test their ability to handle pressure and salinity. The research has been published in Nature Microbiology. Could our quest for oil bring a suicide plague? Only time will tell. Stay paranoid, my friends. Suicide cult was to blame. As of December 2008, there have been 24 known deaths in or from Bridgend County since January 2007, though police have found no evidence to link the cases together. Of 25 people who killed themselves between January 2007, Bridgend suicide incidents may have been caused by a bacteria species found in oil fields, fracking sites, and mines. The Bridgend suicide incidents are a set of suicides involving young people in Bridgend County Borough in South Wales. Reports speculated that in February 2009, all but one died from hanging. The parents of one of the dead accused the media of glamorizing ways of taking one's life to young people. Madeleine Moon, Member of Parliament for Bridgend, said that the media were now part of the problem. The mother of one of the deceased added, "We have lost our son and the media reporting of this has made it more unbearable." Many of the suicide victims were teenagers between the ages of 13 to 17. However, there were ones that were much older, however the media did not focus on them because it was not as disturbing. In the years between 19